Hello, everybody. We are trying this Facebook Live thing again to get Kris on with us to tell us about her amazing story of recovery and her journey through that recovery process. This is part 3 in our series for Recovery Month, where we are talking with people from our communities here in Greendale and Hales Corners about their journey of recovery and what that looks like now with, socializing and things like that, and kind of how they navigate social events. I know, kind of interesting to be talking about that during COVID, but there are opportunities to be social, and there's a lot that goes into that, a lot of thought that goes into that. So we're really excited to hear from a few people this month. And I see Kris. I'm adding you. Okay, let's see if everyone do something. Do a good luck charm for us. It's adding. Jean, she's here. We did it. Hi. You're a little patchy.
Is that any better?
Yes, we're waiting for the picture to catch up.
Okay.
There you are. Hi.
Because it looks fine to me, but hi.
Hi.
Is it okay if it's patchy?
It's a little patchy, but I think it's getting better.
I mean, you can see I'm in my car, but I'm not driving. I'm standing between me.
Ooh, it's pretty patchy. Are you still there? Can you still hear me? No. Where'd it go? You guys. Technology is not our friend. It's not our friend. Okay. We'll give Kris another moment to see if she can jump on. But yeah, like I was saying, we do have ways to socialize as we're continuing to navigate COVID and all that fun stuff. And from a perspective of somebody in recovery, hey, Ashley, it's just really fascinating to hear about how events can be more inclusive, what we can do, and kind of little considerations we can make in making sure that all of our guests feel comfortable and have a really.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There
Is that any
you are.
better? Hello. Is it better
Hi.
now?
Yeah.
Or is it still patchy? Is it
This
better?
sounds better. It is a little better. Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Hey. Let's just cross our fingers and our toes that it all goes well.
Yes. So do you want to give our viewers a little quick introduction to you and your story for us?
I would love to. Hopefully, let me know, like hold up your hand or something if you can't hear me or if I start going out, because it looks fine to me.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Okay. So as you mentioned, because I was able to hear you talking, as you mentioned, I am a nurse and I am in recovery for over 16 years now, 16 3/4 almost years. Not that I'm counting, but counting every one of them. I, really lost almost everything to my addiction, and lost my nursing license as well. I should have, because I was not fit to be a nurse at the time. And even spent 4 months in jail, which was the bottom for me. I did not ever want to go back there again. And once I got out of there, I really threw myself into recovery. I joined a 12-step group and did everything that they told me to do that I thought was right, which they never steered me wrong. And so I still am committed to that program today. But the last 16 years have really been focused on regaining what I lost and then trying to give back to those who are in similar circumstances as I was, to try and make some meaning out of all that I went through. So in 2007, I applied for and got my license back, my nursing license. I really thought it was gone forever. And my counselor, sorry for the motorcycle going by, my counselor really encouraged me to try and get it back. And so I did. I applied for it, and with a lot of monitoring and a lot of restrictions in place, I was able to work as a nurse again. And I joined the nursing board's monitoring program. And that program is a 5-year program, and it really made sure I did random urine drug screens. I had to go to counseling and 12-step meetings. It really ensured that I was safe and practicing safely. And was so grateful for that program because it allowed me to practice as a nurse again. So
Yeah,
I
that's
completed that
incredible.
program. It's a 5-year program. Completed that program in 2012, and so now I'm, I have my full licensure back, which again is really great. But I had legal trouble, so certainly that's on my license. They can see that when they look it up, any employer. So it still follows me. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good that I need to talk about that with any employer that I may have. I think that keeps me accountable and monitored. So I don't have a problem with doing that. And now today I get to work with nurses that are going through that same thing that I did, losing their license, losing their job, and just being absolutely overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, what do I do now? So I'm a nurse coach, and I get to work with those nurses and kind of help them through that, know what to expect and all of that. So
Wow, that's incredible.
Really grateful.
You have a really fascinating story in some aspects, just because it did impact your profession so much. Connecting to your licensure and everything, like not everybody obviously works in healthcare or operates heavy machinery or might have a job where they would think about like, oh wow, like this behavior, like this addiction could, obviously it might do all these negative things to my personal life, but what about my professional life? And for you to come through 16 years now, in your personal and professional struggles with it, like that is just absolutely incredible. And now you're here like full circle helping other nurses through kind of the same situation and program. And what is that like for you to kind of come back like almost full circle on that?
It gives such meaning to what I went through all those years ago. It was not easy getting back into nursing. In fact, I considered even trying because it was so scary. And other nurses that I knew at the time gave up and quit. And, they started the monitoring program, but they just couldn't do it. It was too stressful. It's expensive, and there are a lot of requirements. It's stressful. So the fact that I can be for nurses now to help them through that, in the hopes that they'll have what they need to make it through, and they won't give up, and they'll understand, they'll see me and understand there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like it really, you can get back to practicing. I was an excellent nurse before this. I'm an excellent nurse now. It is possible to recover and be a valuable, productive citizen again. It's hard for people to see that. It's hard for people to accept that, especially when it's someone like a nurse who is supposed to be your hero. It's supposed to be your caretaker. And when we fail that, that's hard. So I totally get that. So I think the stigma that is connected to substance use, especially with professional folks, is a lot stronger. And so that's part of the reason I want to share my story, so that people know, yes, it's a problem. It absolutely is, but it's a problem that has a solution.
Yeah.
And if we can work together to make that solution attainable for people, then we've made a big difference in the lives of people.
Absolutely. And mentioning stigma, you did absolutely you were the heart and soul of our Rise Above the Stigma campaign. We do have mugs. These mugs are not your standard 12-ounce mugs. These are 15-ounce mugs.
Nice mugs.
Hold a lot of coffee, a lot of tea, and also some really nice notebooks. If anybody's interested, they can message us on Facebook, and I can coordinate picking some of that up from either the Greendale or Harold's Corners health departments. But you and another member of our coalition were really the heart and soul of creating that stigma reducing, the campaign about stigma reduction. And what would you, if you could sum it up in a quick thought, how would you sum up our campaign?
I think what Rise Above Stigma does is lets people know that it's okay to talk about it, that we can get together, those with substance use disorders and those without, come together and talk about it and talk about how we can make change. If we hide behind our mask of substance use, like nobody wants to talk about it, it's scary. It makes you're vulnerable when you share something like that. But if we can push past that, and folks on the other side who don't have substance use disorders can push back their fear of talking about it, it's uncomfortable sometimes, push past that, we can really we can change the lives of people. Yeah. If we can let people know it's okay to talk about it, it's okay. It's hard, but it's so important to talk about it and just knock that stigma out so that we can reach out to those around us and that they know they can reach out.
Yeah, because I just think about people who have talked about how strong the barrier of stigma is to seeking treatment or reaching out or asking for help. And it's in this world where we have a lot of systemic barriers, like you're talking about, this really difficult program to get your license back and become be able to practice as a nurse again. There's all these structural systemic problems and challenges that people in recovery face. To have just the stigma of somebody looking down at them or shunning them being what keeps them from making that first step is just heartbreaking, because it's the easiest solution for us as friends and neighbors to be a part of. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. We also wanted to kind of talk about socializing and what that looks like. I know it's kind of funny to talk about as we are still kind of experiencing a lot of barriers to socializing with with COVID. But you're right. So what advice do you have for people in recovery and for people who are hosting events, as we're kind of coming into we're already in the midst of football season and the holidays approaching? Any tips or advice you have for your peers in recovery and taking those first steps and getting back into socializing, or from the hostess standpoint, that easy changes, modifications, or considerations we can make in making those experiences more inclusive for everybody?
Yeah, so I think if you're the host or hostess, don't focus everything around the alcohol. As people come into your place and you offer them something, don't let it be, the first thing you offer them is a drink. What do you want? We have beer, we have wine, and then we have some, soda and whatever. You don't have to say what you have. Just say, hey, would you like anything? Can I get you something? And let the person ask for what they want. Oh, yes, I'd like a soda. Do you have a water? Or maybe they ask for something with alcohol. I'm not suggesting people shouldn't have alcohol. They should have what makes them comfortable. But you don't have to lead with that. It doesn't have to be the defining factor of your party. We had a party yesterday, a family party, and we had a large soda cooler and a large water cooler and a very small little cooler that my daughter and her boyfriend took care of with the other beverages in it. And that was sitting a alongside, but it's a smaller cooler with nothing on it to say this is where the alcohol. Just kind of a message that yes, you can have this, but this isn't the reason we're getting together. We're getting together because we want to meet with our family and we want to hang out and have a good time. And then if you're the person going, like if I go to a party, use that term loosely, because I don't go to parties that are alcohol parties anymore, but if there's going to be alcohol at a party, I just make sure that I'm safe. So I will talk about it before I go, whether that's with my husband or with my daughter or maybe my sponsor, and just say, hey, I'm going here. I think it's okay, but they may have alcohol. Just want to make sure I say that out loud, like just, verbalize it. I know that's there. I'm going to be, safe. But if I would go and not feel safe, I need to have an exit plan. I think we've talked about that on other calls or other times. Like just have, what you're going to do. Either you're going to leave, you've driven yourself, so you're free to go whenever you like, or maybe you are going to call an Uber or a Lyft, or you just need to call your sponsor or text your sponsor and say, hey, I'm feeling a little funny. I just need to touch base. And then maybe that's all you need is that boost to be, okay, now I can go back and join the others. Frankly, for me, if it's a party that is centered around alcohol, I have no business being there. I don't need to be there, and it's just not my place. But if it's a party like we had yesterday with family that really important for me to be there, and I know there's going to be alcohol there, we just have a plan, and we know what our limits are. We know to reach out for help now, which I never did before. Have that.
I think Becky talked about it too last week when we had our Facebook Live with her. It's just like the over communication. It seems like over communication, but communication is so key. And just, I think for you mentioning like it's important for you to vocalize it and just like have it out there. Like, I'm going to this party. I know there's probably going to be alcohol there. So just making that known. I'm sure also for like your family, that's also maybe reassuring to them that you're also thinking about that and recognizing it. And yes, she knows there's going to be alcohol and she has a plan and she's comfortable with it and she's confident and I'm confident in her and all of that because because addiction can be, it affects the person and everybody and their loved ones and things like that. So I think that's just such a good example of like what that communication can look like. It doesn't have to be a thing, it's just mentioning it, being willing to talk about it, reducing the stigma around talking about it. And then for hosts, I think, Wisconsin has this celebratory nature around alcohol. And so to celebrate means to have a drink. And so I think it's such a simple solution. And so I think symbolic to say like, here's a water cooler, big, all the water you can drink, soda cooler, all the soda you can drink. And then like, a few beers in a cooler if you really want a beer to go with whatever. It's there, but that's not why we're here. We're not here to throw them back. We're here to be together and here are the drink options. Like people first, beverages second, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess just to like cap things off, I have two more questions. Okay, first one, what would you say to somebody with your years and wisdom of being in recovery, what would you say to somebody who's maybe has a loved one or a friend who's struggling with substance use disorder?
So if I were talking to the family of the person, I would tell them to just continue to love them. Can you hear the car horn beeping in the back? I hope it's not too distracting. Sorry. But I would just say to be there for that person. Let them know that you're worried, that you care, that you're a safe place to land. That doesn't mean that you have to give them all the money that maybe they're going to go out and spend on their substance of, whatever their substance is. But that they know that they can call you and talk to you, that you're a safe space.
I love that.
If you're talking to the actual person, same kind of thing. I love you. I want to help you, but I also don't want to support your addiction. But I am here if you need me. I care about you deeply. And if I can do something positive to help you, I will do that. But never, um, never close that door or make it, shouldn't say never, but just leaving the door open wide enough while keeping yourself and your family
Mm-hmm.
safe, wide enough that they know you're somewhere, you're again a safe space to come if they need it and
Yeah,
if they're ready.
I love that. And final question. What is your favorite thing about being in recovery all these years?
My favorite thing is all the people that I have met along the way. Those people that helped me in the beginning when I was so lost and scared and had no idea what I was doing. Those are my favorite people. I mean, I'm still so close with them today. And then those people that I've gotten to work with since, once I was healthy enough to do so. It gives me such joy to hang out with people like Lori, and my other lovely um, client, coach, whatever you want to call them, all those wonderful people um, that let me
Yeah.
help them, I guess. It's just such a joy. It gives meaning, like I said, gives meaning to all that yuck that I went through. Gives it some meaning and
That's
some value.
so, I think that's such a wonderful message of hope and inspiration too, because I think that what we hear a lot of too is that like people who are fresh on their recovery journey, it's like they, especially if using was a social thing for them, they almost have to find an entirely new group of people to connect with, at least at first. And to know that like you can rebuild this wonderful, beautiful community that you just could never imagine living without on, the other side of the journey is, I love that. That's so inspirational. Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people will really appreciate
Yeah.
hearing that.
Yeah, I have every Saturday morning I go out to breakfast with my 7 best friends. But really they're like my lifesavers, my life preservers.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Some of them have been there since the
Wow.
beginning.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and fighting through the technical difficulties. You were supposed to join us at the beginning of the month, and thankfully Lori was on to to jump on really quick and get the story
Thanks for
going,
that,
which
Lori.
was so great. So I'm glad we were able to connect and get this recorded for historical prosperity and forever on the internet.
Thanks for putting up with it. I don't know. There was some cosmic reason. Who
There's so
knows?
exactly. It was supposed to happen this way. So thank
That's
you.
right.
And we have one more conversation hopefully coming up on Thursday. So stay tuned for that. And of course, these will be on our Facebook page. And then I'll share it on our YouTube tomorrow.
Great. Thank you very much for letting me chit chat with you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Oh, we got some hearts. Thanks for the hearts.
Everyone.
And I'll see you sometime soon. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.